Even your emotion had an echo in so much space. And when you out there without care, I was out of tone. But it wasn't because I didn't know, no.
My shadow is in there.
I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly. And I hope that you're having the time of your life. Think twice. That's my only advice. Who do you think you are? Oh, bless your soul. You think you're in control? I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. Just like me. My heroes had the heart, lose their lives out on the land. And all I remember is thinking I want to be like them. Oh, yeah. Ever since I was little, it looked like fun. And it's not coincidence I've come. And I can die when I'm done. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe we're crazy.
Hey, everybody. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in the LSK, the big LSK. We call it LSK. Beautiful city of Lusaka, here at Simoson Building, located directly opposite City Market. We are on the corner of Lucia and Simon. That is the corner of Kalusha Walia Road and Simon Mwewa Lane. I think my lighting is messed up. I don't think the lighting is good, you know. Right. How's that? Okay, let me just get this straight real quick. So guys, is it too dark? Is it too bright? What is it? I'll tell you what. Good morning to you guys. Nakonde, is it Nakonde? Nakonde is tuned in. Thank you, Nakonde. Morning to you, brother man. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to spend a few moments with me here on SML TV. Nakonde again. And Ambassador, thank you. Thank you so much. I can see a bit of shadowing here, but that's okay. We'll just get into it. Daniel says it's all right. It's okay. And is it clear? Am I crystal clear? Can you hear me? Can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? Go ahead and break that down for me. Lay it on the line. Tell me in the comments. Okay, guys, let's get into it. Many of you know that former President Lungu, the sixth president, he prefers that we call him that, and I agree with him. I love the fact that we can say the sixth president of this great republic. Many of you know that he made the news yesterday, and I found it interesting. Didn't you find it curious that President Lungu exiting the magistrate's court and then him singing a line from a song trended more than the presentation of the budget? Isn't that just amazing? I mean, what kind of people are we? What kind of world are we living in where a line from a song spoken by the former head of state trends on social media, and yet there's not a squeak, there's not a peak about the presentation of the budget, there's not a squeak about the fact that the CDF has been bumped up by several millions of kwacha, hitting the 30 million plus ceiling. Nobody's talking about that. You know why? As I often share with you, people pay attention to things that are interesting, not things that are important. That's the beast. That's the natural beast of the internet leviathan. So don't be shocked. Don't be dismayed. Don't be taken aback whenever you look at the internet and see things that are trending. And all of a sudden, when you see that the former president, the sixth president, utters a line from a Slap D song, it's everywhere on the internet. Now, I want to take a moment to look at that briefly. And I think it's important that we sort of examine what happened yesterday, the intonation, the undercurrent, the implication, the insinuation, the hinting of what that song meant when sixth president, I was going to say former president, sixth president Lungu uttered that line. Let's look at the song and let's look at what he said. Now, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, let me bring you guys up to speed. Okay, and here's the thing. Yesterday, when former President Lungu, sixth President Lungu, was escorting his wife, Mama Esther Lungu, she went to court. She's been charged with theft of motor vehicle. She's been charged with money laundering and a few other things. And he escorted her there. And as he was leaving, he had an entourage with him. And among the people that were with him, Mumbipiri was there. Raphael Hijaka Nakachinda was there with his ridiculous binoculars, for goodness sake. Drives me nuts when I see him with those things. He was there. A few other people were there. And while he was walking away, walking out of the courthouse, Mumbipiri was trying to coax him, trying to convince him to withdraw his letter that he wrote to the Secretary of the Cabinet. At the time, it was Mr. Simon Mitty, where he indicated and very clearly stated that he will no longer participate in active politics. And with that letter, his presidential benefits began to kick in. Okay, he gets 80% of the salary of the current president. All of his security detail is taken care of. Transportation, medicals, housing, everything is taken care of by the government, that's the way it's supposed to be, because that's how we roll as Zambians. We take care of our former heads of state. Any house of his choosing, he gets to, the government gets to build him a house. The house that he's currently living in now, the information I have, and of course, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the information I have is that house costs about $6,000 a month to live in that house. And guess who foots the bill? And rightly so, the government fits the bill because he is the former president and he deserves those perks. In addition to that, he gets to travel anywhere in the world. Once a year, he gets to go on vacation, holiday, any destination in the world. He just takes the globe. I got a globe here. He just takes the globe. He just looks at a globe and says, you know what? Okay, this year, let's go to the Maldives. Boom, the government pays for it every year. Next year, he can say, oh, let's go to, boom, Antarctica. The government pays for it. That's how we roll. So the moment 6th President Lungu wrote that letter, informed the secretary to the cabinet at the time, Simon Mitty, all of these beautiful perks began to kick in. Now, when I'm taking you now back to the courthouse, as he was leaving, and as Vamumbi Piri was saying all the things that she was saying, she sounded unhinged to me. She was completely beside herself. She was talking about stuff that just didn't make any sense. She was saying things like, go and withdraw so that you start suffering with us. And I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. Former President, 6th President Lungu is not suffering. I can tell you that. 6th President Lungu is riding high on the saddle. He's having a great time. You know, as a former president, he's getting those perks. So for Vamumbi Piri to suggest or to imply that, no, you go to cabinet, withdraw that thing so that you come and suffer with us, that is being disingenuous. It's being ridiculous, to be frank and honest with you. Anyway, so as they were walking out, and this is the point I want to make, 6th President Lungu looks at Mumbi Piri and he quotes a famous song sung by Slap D and somebody else named, is it 4 and 5? 4 and 5. Is that a person, 4 and 5? That's the first time I've ever heard of that. You know, I've never heard of 4 and 5. Well, there's a famous song called Nari Tumpaine. And the literal translation of this song, and of course, this is my watered down translation of the song. And I'm being very deliberate about this. There's a reason why I've watered down the translation, because I'm referring to the former head of state. I do not want to come across as disrespectful to the former head of state. So I have to give you a watered down version of the translation of this line. Nari tumpaine. 6th President Lungu looked at Mumbi Piri and says, Nari tumpaine, which is the line from this famous song. And the translation is, I am silly. Okay? Now, the first line of that song, the very first line of the song says, meaning, I do not fear man. Now, you have to look at the undertone, the undercurrent of the implication of this song. And for you to understand that, you must understand that, and I'm going to give you this as an example. Back in the 90s, for those of you that remember, there was this big East Coast, West Coast battle. You know, Snoop Dogg, Notorious B.I.G., Tupac Shakur, and that whole gang. You know, there was this perceived, which really, this conflict between the West and the East Coast and the West Coast being, you know, the state of California, and then East Coast being New York. In the rap industry, in the gangster rap industry, there was this conflict that was fueled by, in those days, we didn't have social media. We used to have, it was called the press. It was just referred to as the press. For those of you that don't remember, there was a time there was no social media. You know, this is 1989, 90, 91, 92, those years there. We didn't have social media. So we used to refer to that medium as the press. The conflict between the East Coast and the West Coast was mainly fueled by the press. And gangsters used to communicate through rap, through song. They would send a message through song. Now, to the consumers, it was entertainment. You know, to the people that would go buy, in those days, we had CDs. You guys don't even know what CDs are. You know, in those days, we used to have compact discs, little silver disc that you would put in a machine and press play and music comes out. Now you kids stream. They call it streaming now. When I was a kid, streaming meant, you know, a body of water. Anyway, so my point is, gangsters used to communicate through rap. They would send subliminal messages. Do you know what a subliminal message is? Tell me in the comments. Somebody please tell me in the comments. What is a subliminal message? When Tupac Shakur would want to send a subliminal message to Biggie, to the notorious B.I.G., he would do it through rap. You and I, as a consumer, may not be privy to certain elements in the song that are specifically targeted at Biggie. But Tupac Shakur knew exactly what he was saying. To you and I, it was just rap music, you know. But to them, it was a subliminal message. They would be sending a message, an undercurrent, an undertone. Tell me in the comments. Somebody tell me, what is a subliminal message? There are so many of you very sharp chaps. Can you say it in the comments so that I highlight you? Subliminal message. A subliminal message is a message that is it's not overt. It's very subtle. It's camouflaged. But the person that is attuned knows exactly what you're saying. So my point is this. I think to some degree, I think that sixth President Lungu was sending a subliminal message to the current administration. Especially when you look at the song in its context, when you look at the very first three words in this song, Naritumpaine, the first three words in this song are Ineshitina Muntuyo. I don't fear anyone. And this is the narrative that Abena Rafael Nakachinda, Boman, Abena given. This is the narrative they want to fuel. They want to whisper in sixth President Lungu's ears. Don't fear him. That narrative is very dangerous, especially given the fact that sixth President Lungu is a former head of state. He's done his time. He's been sworn in twice, served twice. But when you've got this special interest group that surrounds him and they begin to whisper in his ears, don't fear him. And so when sixth President Lungu uttered the line yesterday, Naritumpaine, you and I can interpret that in any number of ways. Any number of ways. And which brings me now to the issue of legacy, okay? This issue here. What former President Lungu needs to focus on is this: legacy. Let me take you back in history for those of you that do not know. Have you ever heard of the FJT Institute? Some of you don't even know what that is. Let me break it down for you. When the second president of this republic, late President Chiluba, after having served 2 terms, he wanted to build a democratic institute. He called it the FJT Democratic Institute. Do you know where it was located? Tell me in the comments below. Guys, you have to be quick, okay? You have to be very quick. And I question where, for those of you that know, now remember, this was in the 90s, okay? This is during the tenure of our second Republican president, late President Chiluba. After serving 10 years, 2 terms, as he approached the end of his second term, there was talk that he wanted to build something that he called the FJT Democratic Institute. And it was going to fall under the description, in part, under the description of his legacy. Because he wanted to foster this idea that, African countries should really rally behind democracy and what it's truly defined to be, democracy. So he came up with this idea that I'm going to build an institute that touts, that glorifies, that promotes the tenets of democracy within the African context. And everybody was happy. They said, oh, really? Fred's going to do that? Frederick Chiluba is going to build an institute, a democratic institute that promotes democracy within the African context, promotes the tenets of democracy. Tell me in the comments where yes, that's right. This is it. Adam, is this Adam? Adon. I'm sorry, I'm nearsighted, so I have to squint sometimes. Acacia Park. What you know as Acacia Park, some of you don't even know that that building, originally, it was about Chiluba who owned that building. And the idea was to build an institute. I sat in the office of SP Mulenga. Some of you may not know who SP Mulenga is. But SP Mulenga was a big property mogul in this country. Huge, massive. You know, he's the father of, you know, the young man that owns Mwebantu Facebook page? That's his dad. His dad and I, his father, okay, Uyu Musonda, Kasonde Mulenga is the owner of Mwebantu Facebook page. Kasonde Mulenga's father, SP Mulenga, was a huge property mogul in this country. His father and my father were very good friends. I also became very close friends with SP Mulenga. But SP Mulenga showed me the drawings, the architectural drawings of the FJT Democratic Institute in the 90s. And you know, SP Mulenga served in Chiluba's government. And in those days, they were very excited about this project that FJT called the FJT Democratic Institute. I saw the drawings, the layout. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. But let me tell you what derailed that plan. When Chiluba was told, run for a third term, if Yama plans the idea FJT Institute, yafuide. The moment Frederick Chiluba started talking about a third term, the plans for the construction of that FJT Democratic Institute died completely. Why? Because FJT, Frederick Jacob Butaitas Chiluba, started now focusing all of his energies on a third term, when what he should have done was focus on the building. Can you imagine today, had he not been deceived by the people around him? Because it's these people who surround the head of state, who whisper to presidents, listen to counsel. Don't think that these presidents come up with these ideas. No, it is the people surrounding them. Wakateka, you have to do this. If you don't do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, so Bonfuira Abantu sitting around them. But Chiluba abandoned that project to focus on the third term. That's what destroyed it. That's what destroyed him. That building ended up being sold. And in my view, had Chiluba continued on that trajectory, had Chiluba stepped aside, had Chiluba not attempted a third term, had Chiluba built that Democratic Institute, it would have set in motion the culture of building legacy for former heads of state. That's where it would have begun. But because of selfishness, because of self-centeredness, Chiluba, by his own admission, he said, "Power, I didn't know power is so sweet." In Zambia, we say sweet. It's sweet. But in Zambia, we say sweet. I didn't know it was sweet. He came on television saying, I didn't know this seat was so sweet. The illusion of power. The illusion illusion of power. And so, when brothers and sisters, when we talk about legacy, this is what Lungu should focus on now. He should not be focusing on Adebuedapo and all that craziness. His time has passed. I'll never forget, and I always say this to you, I'll never forget Lungu saying at a rally at Mulungushi Conference Center, he said, development has no destination. Every president, every administration comes in, they serve their time, they do their best to better the lives of the people. When their time is up, they move aside. They pave way for other leaders, new ideas, new outlooks to come in and carry the baton, carry the torch to the next generation. But if all you do is focus on you're losing sight, you're ignoring your legacy. Don't fall into the trap that Bachilwa fell in. Balungu, focus on your legacy. Build that status of statesmanship and walk around with your head high. Yes, it's going to be a bumpy ride for you. We all know that. But you'll weather the storm when you focus on legacy. You'll break through this difficult time when you focus on legacy. But if you throw your hat back into the political race, they'll lift your immunity. You're going to live a life of hell. Let's just be frank. The last portion, as you go into the last portion of your life, because you're in the final chapters of your life. You're not a young man anymore. Nature takes its course. You're in your 60s. In 10 years, you'll be in your 70s. You're going to be dead and gone in less than 50 years or 50 years plus, whichever it is. So it's time to focus on your legacy. Focus on that so that we remember you and talk about you after you're dead and gone. And we say, that man left a legacy. But if all you do is listen to Rafael Hajaka Rakachinda, if all you do is listen to Bowman craziness Lusambo, you're going to lose sight of your legacy. You are. Lastly, I just want to say that I was very pleased to see the president jogging only with his security detail. You know what that does? It means he's saving money on paying kadas. Because, all those chaps who go and jog with the president, you think they go there for free? You think they go there thinking, those chaps, they expect money from their former first family. Now, can you imagine the burden, the load of responsibility every Saturday? Could you breakfast? Could you impia? They have to give those chaps money. 300. Do you know what happens to these people when they go there? Perchance, but the way I know politicians, there's no way Balungu can send those people without paying them or giving them money, because he's a politician. He knows the game, the way it's supposed to be played. He knows it. He's a very experienced, seasoned politician. So he knows that he has to part away with this money when they come jogging. When 300 people come jogging with him, he knows. Now, imagine if he decides not to pay them. Do you know what? Those are the same people who come saying, when they go without Balungu giving them anything, you know what they say? Akaso tuachia butuka tuabutuka tuapiba neerive ukufuma kofie neerive tabachitupera komwadi tabatupere bread bomfwa na nguti ya makata batupere bakaso bali abantu. Do you see the duplicity of the Zambian? Don't play with Zambians. As long as the party is Umuzulu, Chapa, you are friends. My goodness. That's how those cadres talk. So I'm very pleased. My point is this. I'm very pleased that the president has scaled down that the sixth president, former President Lungu, has scaled down his jogging detail, that he's only now jogging with his security. What do you think? Tell me. Tell me. Legacy. And there comes a time when each man is left alone, looking back at his spent life and asking, what will I leave behind? Yes. Well said. Thank you. Sweet and sour. It's shameful. The laws of this country fail to apply on a rich thief, but can only apply on poor people. I disagree, sir. Rather, this is a direct response to the very demeaning Katumpa comments the current president made, which he, rather than being subliminal, called out the sixth president that way. That was uncalled for. Last one. They have nothing to fear. Hey, Isaac. See you, brother. They have nothing to fear. Our courts are toothless. The cases just drag on. So they're sitting pretty. That's a very interesting point. Hey, guys, thank you for watching. God bless.